and Keeping It Real Team Collaboration.
We're
I'm your
back.
man Shadi Ali, aka SRD, with my man Jay Sean, aka Mr. F Love. We
Hey,
apologize for being late, but we was having some difficulties, technical difficulties, and you know how that go if you do what we do. All right, let's get to it. What's going on, my brother?
yeah, another day, another dollar.
All right, I want to play a song,
Oh
man.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Trying to. I know it's hard in this world we live, but we gotta make the best of what it is. Just keep your head up. And on my cats being laced with biz, we gotta strive to keep our kids. Just keep your head up. I know it's hard in this world we live, but we gotta make the best of what it is. Just keep your head up. And on my cats being laced with biz, we gotta strive to keep our kids. Just keep your head up. Basically speaking, I hear what they best. And they wanna hear me think fully, but this rhyme is good. Most niggas wanna be friend when you on top, but when you doing bad, everybody knocking your hustle on the struggle. She's got me in a lot of trouble. Late night, gun busters seeing cats with pump. You a chump, you ain't got a front. Like when I got jumped, niggas claim they wasn't around. Running dogs, that's down for they smile. Pull up in the face saying, yeah, look good. Got a play up on my Jesus was good and why? You can't trust most niggas. They run to your face and try to make it up and never repeat it. I've seen it plenty of times. You see the look in my eyes. Wonder why I despise me and think to myself. I guess the best for me to do what I got to do. I know it's hard in this world. All right, I wanted to let it play a little bit, a little bit more than usual.
Hey, that's okay.
So,
That's okay.
yeah. Just give it a little more play, a little
Yeah,
more airplay. Yeah, so welcome everybody. We know you could have been anywhere in the world doing anything. So we're grateful that you chose to spend this Friday, September 26th, with us.
that's right.
Jay,
Yo,
how I feel to be equality wisdom.
it
62 in the English language.
was. It feel. I'm glad it came and went, man. It was like it was a lot of pressure, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure, man. For me, the last couple of years, when my birthday coming, it's not as fun as it used to be.
oh, the
Yeah,
excitement is not the same.
it ain't as much excitement as it used to be. I guess because you getting older, and then a lot of times, well, I'm speaking for me, like you might not where you want to be in life. So um, I could imagine how other people feel. Some people might be able to fake it better, but I really can't fake it. Well, I mean, I guess I do fake it because nobody would know if I didn't say it now. You know what
Right,
I'm saying?
right.
So, as far as everybody else know, you be happy and joyous, and it's my birthday. But silently inside, I'll be like, oh man, it's another year around the sun, and I ain't where I'm not. Well, there's always somebody in a worse situation than you,
Absolutely.
and but you always want to strive to be in a better situation. You know what I mean in life. I
No
guess
doubt.
you could say if you got a roof over your head and food in your refrigerator and you healthy, then your health is your wealth. You know what I mean? But we all know it's other things that we dream about and want. I ain't gonna say need, but want. You know what I mean? And you just wanna be able to have the things you wanna have. You know, do the things you wanna do.
Nah, I dig it.
Well, anyway, that's how I feel.
I dig it. You have aspirations. You aspire to more, and for some of us, that's our motivation.
Right.
That's what wakes us up in the morning. Striving for that little bit more, puts you in a different situation. You know what I mean? So I get it.
Yeah,
You know.
that's how I feel, you know. But you know, other than that, I'm here. I'm good, you know.
Okay, yeah, and the people missed you last week. I went
Yeah,
on. I went on. The show must go on. I put a little time in. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Solo. Because you had business you had to handle. So
yeah.
it goes that way sometimes.
That's what I was getting ready to say. You know, I done did it many a time solo, and I'm sure you did too. It was starting
Absolutely.
off, you know. So that's how it is. But hey, we here today. That's all that matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the reality is, any day you're above ground is a good day. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
and you're not old until you cold.
There you go. There you go. That's what it is. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being that you wasn't here, so let me get right to it. Let me
Let's get
give
right.
you a question.
Let's get right to it.
Yeah. I know you graduated from high school. You did 2 years of college.
Hmm.
Um, during that journey, is there any teacher that stood out or really made a difference in your life?
You know, I think about that a lot because sometimes you watch TV and you see celebrity like I seen Bootsy the rapper, seen his sixth grade teacher I think it was, and she he was hugging her, was just crying and crying and crying. So it had to be a lot of meaning because you know Bootsy like a gangster rapper from Baton Rouge.
Right, right, right.
Bootsy a straight up gangster. He been in prison on death row in Angola. So
Okay.
and it was and a white teacher for him to see a white teacher and break down like that, a sixth grade teacher. I said she must have really meant a lot to him or seen something in him or you know what I mean or did something.
Okay.
But
So did he go into why?
nah, he didn't go and they just showed him like I guess she came backstage or he seen her somewhere. She
Oh,
came to
okay.
his show or he invited her somewhere and they just showed him walking up to her and just hugging her. He wouldn't let her go. I mean,
Oh.
he wouldn't let that white lady go. So you know, so something was there.
Right, 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 right.
Um, but you know, like I think about that because that's a good question because teachers are supposed to they supposed to leave a lasting impression on you. You know, if they really into doing what they doing. You know what I mean? I would think so. You
Right.
know, of course we can remember names and you know and years and stuff, but I mean to really, really, really touch you. Um, and that question it mean a lot because it go back to role models.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't have to think that long
So
about you know what I'm saying because I did kindergarten to eighth grade,
right,
ninth grade to 12th, and two
right,
years of college.
right.
That's a lot of school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not counting training programs and different stuff. You should be you should be able to think of somebody, but I could think of teachers that looked it good, who I was infatuated with. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Of
I could
course,
think
of
about
course.
teachers I was infatuated with. I could think about teachers who didn't care. But if I had to put my finger on one teacher, I probably would say my eighth grade teacher, Miss Harris.
Okay. When you said one teacher, your eighth grade, I kind of figured. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I would
all
have
right.
to say her because and not because me and her had a close bond.
Right,
It was something about her aura. Because you remember she was small in stature.
right, right.
the people like to say midget, but I don't, I don't like to talk like that. But she was very small, maybe four,
4'3",
4'3", yeah.
4'4", right,
But her presence was 6 feet tall. You know what I mean? And
right,
that always stood out to me how she demanded respect. Even kids was bigger than her,
right.
and I don't. She didn't really do it with fear. She just did it with respect. You know what I mean? So, and it's one thing that stuck out in my mind was that the first day of 8th grade, she told us we was gonna have a project that was due at the end of the year, and it was like a term paper. You had to pick anybody you could do the term paper on, and it don't stick in my mind because of her, but it stick in my mind because of who I did the paper on. I did mine on John F. Kennedy,
Oh, okay.
and even though they say he was a people's president and he was for um um
Civil rights and that
civil
type of
rights and
stuff,
all
right?
that, I still sometimes to this day wonder why I did my term paper on a white man. you know,
Right.
out of all the black people in the world, I still sometimes wonder why I did my a year project on a white man.
Mm.
I can't figure that out. But anyway, how about you? Any teachers stand out to you?
Uh, yeah, it's a few for me. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
see,
Mr.
that's good.
Kroom, Mr. Kroom was one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, because he used to be saying like, "Look, I'm doing this music thing,
And he
but
was
y'all,
black.
right, and
Yeah.
y'all gonna have to realize that things going to change. You're gonna need some schooling. You know what I mean? Y'all playing around, horsing around. This gonna get serious. You
Yeah.
know, and he was right. So the school thing, it played a part. Now there was another one called Mr. Poe. He was
Mr. Who?
black. Mr. Poe.
Oh,
Poe. Pou. Poe. He was he was black, aka Moroccan.
from
He
school 20?
in school 20, he was a substitute.
Oh, okay.
He was a substitute. So he came in. What impressed me about him because he came in with the suit. He had the how you had like the scarf hanging on his shoulder,
Yeah.
and he was real cool. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, okay, this cat's cool, but he when he was reading like real cool. So it impressed me. It impressed me to see because being cool, reading wasn't a part of being cool.
Right.
Taking your books home wasn't a part of being cool. But he was a cool teacher, and he was like, look, it's not going to be easy out there for us. You know what I mean? People that look like you and me, it's not going to be easy. You need to know how to read. You need to be comfortable with reading because reading going to open your mind up to a lot of different things. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that those two individuals basically stuck out to me
That's
because
and that's deep.
yeah, because it basically gave me some direction. You know what I mean? Of okay, it was something to consider,
Yeah.
and because of him, my reading started increasing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but
Now
yeah,
that's deep because I would have thought I would have had your answer and you would have had my answer. But you see how life is?
yeah, yeah. And remember, I did 2 extra years, so it's
Yeah.
like I would have did 4 years of college because I
Yeah,
did two
that's why
extra
I
years.
said that. Yeah, because you would have said, nah, it wasn't no teachers, that stood out. You know what I
Right?
mean? But
Yeah, yeah,
that's how life is. That's how
yeah.
life is.
Absolutely.
It's different. But that was moving right along. A lot of times you hear some serious debates when people be like, those people, your people, it's because of them, or they, or something like that. It's a lot of
Right.
times you hear that. So um, when black people say they, when black people say they, who do you think they are?
Mm, wow. Um, we use it a lot. You can almost in any conversation we'll say they keeping us down. They
Yeah.
got our foot on our neck. They foot on our neck.
Yep.
They discriminating against us. So when it comes to that, there's okay. I would say it's multiple entities from the government to big business, um, pharmaceutical, even the FDA. You know what I'm saying? These are systems, even the police could be even included in some of them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's when you say they, it's broad because it's a system set up. People work the system, but because the system has been designed in a certain way that puts out a certain mindset towards certain people,
Right.
which creates a them, a they, and a we. You know what I'm saying? So basically, I look at it as, and this is my opinion, that if people started looking at it more as we, then some of those systems would work better for everybody. You know what I mean? So let's give an example. If you got to go to court,
Yeah.
and let's say it's a judge, no matter and you come to court. Let's say it's you come to court you with your back, which there could be a black, aka black judge, or in a black child, black
Yeah.
defendant. He comes into court, pants hanging. You know what I'm saying? Talking reckless. Okay, now he's gonna get categorized as they or
Yeah.
them, and he's gonna be dealt with from a point of view of okay, you're a thug, you're a gangster. You know what I mean? You one of the problems in the community, and he's going to get dealt with based on that perception. So I think when we say them and they, it creates a perception that we all buy into. We all buy into it at some point. I don't
Right.
think it's nobody walking here in America that doesn't buy into stereotypes and propaganda and things of that nature when it comes to people who look a certain way, people who talk a certain way, or people who act a certain way. You know,
Yeah.
so I think it's a multifaceted question with a multifaceted answer that can be categorized with many different people from many different parts of a systematic system. And that's my answer. What do you think?
I when I think of the somebody saying they, um I think of it as me. I think of it like of racially um um
Motivated?
yeah, racially motivated. Because I'm used to people saying they, or them people over there, or they did it, or like it can have so many meanings. You know what I mean? But the main thing is about it is what you said. Um, it need to be we. You know what I mean? Uh, we people, or we. We is a symbol of togetherness.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Instead of singling out saying they or they or they. You know what I mean? So just to single people out and say they, to me, I think of it as like it's racially motivated. You know what I mean? But it can be used in a lot of different terms. But the bottom line is, I believe like what you said, it should be we instead of they.
Yeah, yeah. I think then the system will change. See, we be talking about the system has us all messed up. However, it's a mindset of the people working in the system that allows the system to keep perpetuating itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's racially motivated or it's socially motivated,
Mm-hmm.
or economically motivated. Either or,
Whatever.
it creates a division between the people, and the system wins, and a lot of times the people lose.
Yep. I agree with that.
You know. All right, so let's just move right along
Mm-hmm.
and thank everybody, for their presence.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, now, a few weeks ago, asked you like, we talked about like what we wanted to be when we was growing up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, far as having what type of role models we had in our environment, and basically, you know, do you think if you had, you know, role models like lawyers, doctors, judges, you know, Fortune 500 company owners, individuals like that in your environment, do you think that would have, you know, changed the youth? And do you think that would have made a difference on the youth today?
Right, right, right.
You know what I'm saying? If
Um,
that was around.
I, like you said, we talked about that like the week before last, and I never really thought of it how we talked about it. That's why I like when we get into different conversations about different things. I never really sat back and said, like growing up in the 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, I never really thought about it that I didn't know any doctors. I mean, it lived on my block, around the corner or in the buildings, or you know what I mean. I didn't know any doctors, lawyers, like you said, judges, Fortune 500. Um, I didn't. We didn't really see that play a big part in your life when you growing up. Now, your parents probably could influence you to do things and stuff like that, but the rub shoulders with somebody, and talk to somebody. If we would have seen doctors and all that, you know, coming home like our next door neighbors and things like that, it probably would have changed our life. But the question is it any different now for the youth today? So you got to think about the neighborhood you live in,
Right.
or when you was raising your children before they became adults. It still wasn't any around. Not that I could think of on my block in my ward that I knew about. And I think about that. So what about the next generation after our kids' generation? So that's our grandkids.
Right.
Because I believe people from other races see that, Sha. Up in different communities, different areas and wealthier areas, and I believe they see the doctors coming home from work. I believe they see the lawyers with the briefcases. I believe they see that. So it's a tough question. It's a tough question to answer because I don't see a change in it. But but you can't blame nobody for that. But you can't blame nobody, but I guess you can't blame nobody but ourselves because we didn't go to college for that, or we didn't graduate for that, or we didn't motivate. The bottom line is, to me, and keeping it real and keeping it 100 is I don't really see no change for the youth today, far as role models other than Michael Jordan. You know what I mean, and things like that. What about you?
Um, Basically, yeah, you know, as you were saying, we grew up, we didn't see him around, and this generation didn't see him around. What I do believe, though, there was times when they were around. You know what I mean? There were times when the community was more close knit.
Mm,
I think what happened is when it comes to people making a certain amount of money, as you said earlier in the show, your aspirations change. What you aspire to change. If you're making $100,000 a year or $300,000 a year, and you're living in a neighborhood where maybe the highest amount that a person is making is 40,000, you're gonna start feeling like, man, I could afford better than this neighborhood, and you're gonna go to that neighborhood.
that's true.
That hence why you were saying that some children, some people see them. You know what I mean? And it's different nationalities. Because there are people. Think about it. There's lawyers, judges, doctors that look like us, but they're not living around us. You know what I'm saying? So
That's true.
they're moving to where the people fit their economic, you know, growth, their
That's a,
economic development.
that's a good point.
You know what I mean? So that's what happens. Plus, the other thing is they want a peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? Because it's
Security.
right. So it's like nowadays, why do the athletes, you know, the movie stars, the rappers, and certain people move from the neighborhoods that they grew up in? Same reason, you
Same
know,
reason. They have to.
right? Because it becomes a safety issue. It becomes, okay, I'm making this amount of money, and you only making 40,000. I'm making $1 million a year. Oh, I'm a target. And I'm not saying that it's right either way. I'm just saying that's what people start, the way people start looking at it. And we've seen, especially when it comes to rappers, that rappers who want to keep it real and stay in their local neighborhoods, a lot of them end up getting murdered.
Yep.
You know? Why? Because people get jealous a lot of times, because they start looking at it like, why you? Why not me? Not realizing, as you said before on another show, that their work ethic helped them get there.
Yep.
While the person who want to rob them sitting playing the video game or smoking a blunt, this cat in the studio or this cat training. You know what I'm saying? He's honing his skills. He's putting the work in to get to the level that he's striving to get to.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's true. That's a good point.
yeah.
I
So
like the way you broke that down.
so that's the way I look at it, brother.
Nah, that's good. All right, moving right along. When this is happens a lot. Um, One person. Sometimes people play tit for tat. Sometimes somebody do something, and then somebody do something back, or somebody say something, and then somebody say something back. Somebody did something to you, and you didn't forget it, or you for, you forgave it, but you didn't forget it. But when you forgive someone, when you forgive someone for what they did to you, do you dismiss what they did to you?
Mm. I don't think you necessarily dismiss it or even overlook what they've done to you. I think you let it go because a lot of times people do things to you, and I found this to be very true, unknowingly. There are some people who actually hurt you and have no intentions on hurting you.
True.
It's almost like if you threw a ball up in the air and somebody just happened to walk by before you and it fell on. You know what I'm saying? Or I was throwing the ball to you, you missed it and it hit somebody in the head. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to hit them. You didn't mean to miss it, but yet they got a knot on their head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even though you forgive them, you still carry some of it, but it's like if you a lot of people don't want to forgive because they feel like they're letting the person off the hook. You know what I mean? I'm not forgiving you because I'm giving you a pass on what you did. No, I'm not giving you a pass on what you did. I'm letting you know or give you another opportunity to not do that same thing again and make it right what you did do. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because if I threw the ball and you missed it, then I want to go to the person and look. I apologize. I was throwing the ball to Jay. Jay missed it. It hit you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's important for us, to be able to let certain things go to a point where it doesn't affect a future relationship with a person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because holding on to something and regurgitating it, it kind of uh, dampens the relationship. kind of, because it's like, okay, I did it. I know I did it. I accept the responsibility for what I did,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna do my best not to do it again. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's 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 deep because it's tied to emotions. You know what I mean? When somebody do something to you, it's an emotional effect. Even if it physically hurts you, what's left is the emotional effect on it.
Mm.
So once you get to the point where I'm not gonna dwell on this, I know what they did, but I'm not gonna keep every time I see them, I'm not gonna say, look, remember that time you hit me in the head with that ball? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Because while I'm asking you what you hit me in the head with, you hit me in the head with the ball. Now you might have been coming to me saying, "Yo, I got a place where we could go and get a bunch of balls, and we could sell them balls." You know what I'm saying? So you may blow an opportunity.
That's true.
So that, and that's my thing with forgiveness. I think far too often we, many of us, blow opportunities because somebody does something to us that we don't like, and we didn't like what they did. We automatically start disliking the person. I don't like that. I don't like her. I don't want to talk to him. She did this to me or he did that to me. I don't mess with him like that. You know what I mean? Now, this person and you put that aside, you guys may have, an opportunity to make something great happen.
Right.
So that's my view. What you think?
When you forgive somebody, I guess I guess the right thing would be is to kind of dismiss what they did, but I don't know if human nature gonna allow you to do that. I think it'll take a certain individual, a unique person, a a person with a real heart. It just take a certain kind of person to forgive you and dismiss what you did. I think that the answer to that lies in inside the person. Um, what kind of person are they? Are they strong or are they weak? Are they strong or are they weak? Are they God fearing or are they not? Are they loving? Or what I mean. I think it got a lot to do with that. To forgive somebody and dismiss what they did to you, I think it'd be a lot of factors involved with that. You know me, because like sometimes you can't really. It's like cutting somebody. It's like imagine cutting somebody with a machete, taking half their arm off, and then you give them a band-aid to put on it. you know, so I just think it's up to the individual. It takes certain kind of people to. I mean, realistically speaking, it's gonna take a certain kind of person to forgive you and dismiss what you did to them. But it's possible.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I say, put it aside. You know what I'm saying? Put it aside. Like, okay, I'm pushing this to the side, but I ain't push it off the table.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of when you dismiss it, it's like I'm throwing it right off the table. I don't even want to look at it. No, I'm gonna push it aside, Now go back to your point where it depends on the person. Now the person that you pushed it to the side. Now if this person starts showing you whole different behaviors, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
this person's showing you that look, what I did was accidentally. I didn't mean to do that to you. I'm showing you now by doing this for you. You know what I mean? Uh, Here, I'm paying for you to get a prosthetic arm. You know what I mean? I messed your arm. I'm paying for you to get this prosthetic arm, and I'm gonna get you the best arm I can get. You know what I mean? Plus, not only that, I'm gonna throw you a few dollars, for time that you missed out of work, something like that. Like you trying to make up for what you did. Now,
See, that's a question could have been like, um, can you make up for hurting somebody?
that's another one, right? But at least for me, if a person putting forth the effort, I gotta consider that.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know what I mean? And not to say, see, there's some people who, in my personal opinion, don't deserve to be forgiven in certain situations because they you don't forgive them for this. You do it for yourself in that position. You know what I mean? You don't hold on to the poison because it's hurting you. So you forgive them for your own safety and your own emotional and spiritual growth.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So that's when you forgive them. Look, I'm not gonna keep dwelling on that. I'm not gonna keep worrying about, like you said, getting them back. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
now once you plant your mind, I'm going to get revenge. I'm going to get them back. Now you spending a lot of time plotting to get back, do something back to them, where you could be spending that time to do something much more productive for yourself
true,
and your family.
true.
So that's my take on that.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one was tough, man, because people are different.
Yeah,
So as you said, people are different. So people gonna deal with it the way they are based on their emotional and spiritual construct.
and then a lot of times too, the person that was hurt, they don't know that they hurting you. By not dismissing it. So now you hurt, they got hurt, but now you getting hurt. You know what I mean? So by them not trying to, dismiss it or forgive it or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. You know the saying, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah,
You
that's a
know?
fact.
This question goes kind of to what we were talking about earlier, where you were saying, when your birthday came, you kind of wasn't as excited as you normally be because you there's still more you want to do. So basically, this is the question. Do you think you have accomplished all you can, you know, and all you will for the rest of your life?
I don't really think that I accomplished everything that I want to accomplish. I think more like I look at it like I want to continue to accomplish things because if you're not trying to accomplish anything, then that's like saying you done with everything. Like you like your book. You wrote it. You finished writing a book.
Right.
You don't want to say that's your last accomplishment.
Uh,
Um, the podcast. We don't want to say this is our last accomplishment or a movie or something like that. You don't want to say it's your last, but you want to hope it's your best. you know how I really would answer that question is I don't think I don't think nothing is my last accomplishment, but I will hope that my next project be my best project.
Okay.
So I want it to be better than the next book I write be better than the last book. Or the next movie I write be better than the last movie. You know what I mean? Or the next podcast next week be better than this week. So that's basically how I look at it. I don't think you never or I'm never done all I could do. I just hope that your next one is your best one. What about you?
For me, like you said, I wrote the book, so I finished that part. Now the other part, get it published, copywritten, all that stuff, get it out. Then after that, promote it. So as you said, it's an ongoing process. And, you know, sure, would now that I have gotten the feeling of actually writing a book, yeah, I'm looking forward to actually doing another book. And as you said, sure, I would like this book to even do, that book to even do better than this book.
Yeah,
So it's like whatever you're dealing with, in life, it's trying to go on a higher level. You know what I mean? Trying to outdo,
the
as you
next.
said, the last thing. If
Yep.
this was good, then I want this to be great, the next one to be great. Or if this one was okay, I want that the next one to be good. So yeah, so I get, that philosophy when you're saying that, yeah, you want the next to be the best. And,
yeah.
and then, that's going to be the best until the next one comes, then that'll be better than that one.
Yep. Your next project is your best project.
So yeah, so I definitely agree. And that's the goal, as you said, with the show. Each show we want to get better and better. You know what I mean? And I've seen, we both have seen our growth. You know, we
Yeah.
can we can go back, and the beauty about it is we can go back and look at some of the old ones versus us now.
Yeah.
And
More
now,
more structure.
right, right. Now, some months ahead, we could look at us now and then check us out then when we get to a higher level, once we even, polished ourselves up more.
Yep. We got time. I got time to ask you one more question if you want to answer it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's give it to them.
Um,
Give it to the people.
got about 7 minutes. Do you think there is a difference between tender love and tough love?
Mm. Tender love, tough love.
Tender
Yeah,
love and tough love.
I do think it is a difference. You know what I mean? I do think there's a difference in tender love and tough love.
Okay.
I think it's a difference. I think, you know, tender love is being, you know, a little more easy with, or a little more flexible when it comes to, yeah, the person you trying to show love to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tough love is, when a person is doing things, you love them. Let's give an example. Your children, you know what I mean? If you got a real sensitive child that, makes mistakes, you don't want to scream on that child and start calling that child, listen, you stupid. What you do that for? You know what I mean? They're sensitive, you know? So you wanna try to talk to the child, sit down. Why did you do that? You know what I mean? You didn't have to do that. You could have came to me, blase blah. Now, if you got a child that's really aggressive, don't want to, you're gonna probably get that child. Listen, you need to sit down. You need to, and then you're gonna tell them, look, I'm not gonna keep tolerating this for you anymore. What I'm gonna do, I'm taking your game away. You know what I mean? You want to play that game, you're not playing it for the rest of the week. You know what I mean? That's tough love. You give them tough love now.
Yeah.
You so you giving them love because I think love to me comes with some type of guidance.
Right.
Guidance and love to me is kind of connected, you know, because in order to love a person, it's an action word. It's people say it all the time. Like this is why you call yourself Mr. F Love because you hear the word, but the actions don't meet with the word.
Right.
So if people learn to, okay, I love you, I'm willing to show you. So I'm going to show you by displaying certain actions, and the actions are going to be tender, not harsh. You know what I mean? Because you can love a person and scream and curse them out. You know what I mean? But that don't mean you don't love them. But that's your tough love to them.
That's
You
true.
want, you know what I'm saying? But then your tender love is you find the right words with the right tone. You don't scream. You have an even tone, and you say what you have to say as gently as possible because you're trying to be tender with your loving. You know.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think there's a difference yet a similarity when it comes to tender and tough love. And
I
I
agree.
think I think when you're dealing with somebody, you use both. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're going to use tender love, sometimes you're going to use tough love, depending on the situation and depending on the individual and depending on how you're feeling at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Sometimes you may get a little out of sort. Now the love ain't gonna be tender because you feeling a little slighted yourself. You
that's
know,
true. That's true.
it's very rare that if a person's angry or their feelings is hurt, that they're going to be a tender loving person. You know what I mean? They're going to be tender with their loving because now they're in pain. So you know, kind of most of us, if we're in pain, we normally inflict more pain. You
Hurt
know,
people hurt people.
right? So yeah, but I think it's that was a good question
Yeah, it
that
was.
we all need to consider when we're going to use tender love versus tough love. You know what I mean? They
Yep.
both can be used, but are we using them in the right content at the right time? You know,
Facts.
what you
Facts.
think?
No, I agree. Um, you got. I mean, you got tough love and you got tender love, and love is love, but you got to know how to. You got to know how to. You got to know how to express it. You got to know how to deliver it, and it's also about situations and timing and stuff like that. You know, when you're dealing with tender love and tough love, uh, you might want to a situation for tender love. You can't really just say I'm going to use tough love, and a situation for tough love, you can't just say you're going to use tender love. So I think when you separating them, or when you're saying it's a difference, I think it depends on the situation, um, the person, how they say people, person, thing. I believe it got a lot to do with the timing. You know what I mean? The timing and the situation, because you don't want to get confused with them, when to use one and when not to use the other one. But they all, in a nutshell, they all they all are needed at some time or another. You know what I mean? I have given tough love. I have given tender love. I have received tough love, and I have received tender love. I can't really say which one is better or which one is worse. I
Right.
guess you need them. You need them all. It's a
Like you
combination.
said, the context, the people, the person, place, or thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think the key component is what you basically said is we got to know when to distribute which one.
Yeah.
And most times, a lot of times we're going to mess up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're gonna mess up because sometimes you're human. You mess up. You
Yeah.
may distribute the tough love when it should have been tender love. You may distribute tender love when it should have been tough love.
So how they say it's a thin line.
Right.
It's a
So
thin line between tender love and tough love.
yeah. So
Yeah, it is.
yeah. So it's something I guess that you have to learn, and it with the individual.
Yeah,
You,
true.
you know what I'm saying? You have to learn when to apply it and when to apply each one.
That's a fact.
You know,
That's a fact.
so that's about it for us, brother. You know,
Yeah,
'cause I
time be
know you.
flying, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We appreciate you guys as always for taking the time out of your busy Friday night, September
Yes.
26th, to spend with us. We know you could have been anywhere in the world. We're grateful that you came to spend that time with us. Until next week, we
Yep.
want you to be safe. You know, we want you
I'll
to
be
be,
on in a minute.
there you go. You know what I'm saying? I want you to be safe, loving, and happy. You
Yeah.
know,
Until next week.
until next week, we leave you with peace. Let the
Hey,
people know. Let the people know, brother.
yeah, about 9:30 or 9:35, I'll be on my Facebook Live, Randy J. Sean Jackson, and then I'll be on my TikTok, at 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 J Sean 763. Come through.
It's been a pleasure as usual, my brother.
Yeah, you know it.
All right,
Or
peace,
until next week.
peace.